You should go to prison if you had anything nefarious to do with the virus that caused our country to go into turmoil.
Dr. Fauci's role in the cover-up was intentional. Dr. Fauci influenced the analytical process and findings by leveraging his position to ensure the IC consulted with a conflicted list of curated subject matter experts, public health officials, and scientists.
People are looking at this hat. Get you one of these hats. It says blessed. We got them in different colors on tatumstore.com, tatumstore.com. I'm sick of us continuing to talk about this whistleblower stuff because everybody whistleblowing and ain't nobody going to jail. But I'm hoping that the whistleblowing leads to people being held responsible for COVID-19. It's crazy because it was only a few years ago and we have all forgot the treachery that they put us through in this country. And it's unacceptable. I'm glad people are still talking about it, and I'm hoping that people are held accountable. You should go to prison if you had anything nefarious to do with the virus that caused our country to go into turmoil. People lost their lives either by voluntarily taking their lives or they lost their lives through other violent crimes and other things that were associated with the fallout of this virus. And there were people who had the opportunity to tell the truth about it, to not cover it up, to be transparent, to have actual factual remedies to help the American people, and to be transparent and consistent. When they tell you you should go stay in your house, they were staying in their house, which we know now they weren't. Telling you to wear a mask, they not wearing masks. Telling you that it's transferred between two people and they at the French Laundry, running up the tab, Gavin Newsom with your sorry ashy elbows. But let's play this clip. CIA whistleblower, first clip 201.
Capitol Hill about an alleged deep state conspiracy to cover up the origins of COVID-19. Maddie Rivera joins us live from Washington with the details. Hey, Maddie.
Good morning.
I can't stand the way he talks. It's like he got too many teeth in his mouth. I just can't stand the way he talks. Now, look, let me tell y'all, me and Lawrence Jones got a history. Not a real deep history. It's just that he was on a podcast and homeboy tried to play me and I had to flex. And that was several years ago. And I have forgiven him since. And I don't know if he forgave me or not. But he does irritate me sometimes. And I just had to say the first part of that, I don't know how. Let me not say that. Y'all love him. Let me not get on that. I don't want to be divisive. Roll the clip.
Lauren, so Senator Rand Paul has been investigating the origins of COVID-19 for years. He's been making the case that COVID-19 came from a lab leak in Wuhan, China, as a result of risky research. Paul subpoenaed several federal agencies last year. This morning, he says a whistleblower from the CIA will back up his allegations. Senator Paul told the New York Post the CIA veteran was detailed to the office of the Director of National Intelligence. The whistleblower was reportedly part of an initiative to study how the pandemic began, and he alleges ODNI spied on his review group and withheld documents.
I think this whistleblower will help to confirm that this was known, has been known for a long time, and that when the scientists at the CIA looked at this, they discovered, or they concluded, that the virus had come from the lab. What we're going to find is that the cover-up is a real thing, that there are members of the community, the intelligence community, that still don't want the truth to come out.
It's unclear what evidence the whistleblower might present to prove these accusations of spying. His identity remains a secret, and Paul says he's risking a lot by going public.
Now let me address this. Let me dress it down for you. So pretty much what happened was you had people in the United States of America, and China to this day blames the United States of America for the COVID virus. To this day, they said we did it. And remember at the beginning when they were upset at Trump because he kept saying it's a Chinese virus, and they're like, you didn't say it came from China. You're a bigot. You're a xenophobe. What they were trying to do was divert attention from the origin of where this came from, because you had people in America who was funding this volatile, non-secured, crazy research that created viruses, And when it came out, they didn't want the connection between them potentially being involved in a virus that killed so many people around the world. That's why they really was going after Trump, not because they were really caring about xenophobia. Let's go to the next clip. This is the whistleblower.
Public health policy would have been very different had the American public been made aware that a virus from a lab in China was going to serve as the foundation for an emergency use authorization mRNA products being mandated by the former administration. Dr. Fauci's role in the cover-up was intentional. Dr. Fauci influenced the analytical process and findings by leveraging his position to ensure the IC consulted with a conflicted list of curated subject matter experts, public health officials, and scientists. This included some of the authors of the paper, The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2, and other public health experts who have been in his orbit for the last 20-plus years.
There you have it. Let's continue.
She approved the research that went on in Wuhan, and that it might not be in his interest for the conclusion to be that it came from a lab that he had funded, that there might be a conflict. Did anybody ever bring up that he might not be an objective witness?
That was one example of an email. No one laid it out quite that clearly. You're piecing it together. We were piecing it together from multiple emails, from multiple agencies, multiple documents. It was more subtle than that. Nobody said, this is happening. And unfortunately, I think they probably should have. It was all out there.
But your conclusion is that changing from the scientific consensus of it being from a lab to a neutral position by the CIA was significantly influenced by Anthony Fauci?
It was significantly influenced by Anthony Fauci's injecting himself into the IC. And to go to the second part of your question about what happened, particularly during the 90-day study, we have documentation that shows that as of August 12th, the CIA was considering calling this a lab leak, August 12th of 2021. And then that changed on August 17th of 2021. Right. And unfortunately, because the CIA would not provide us documentation that we asked for, we have no idea why that changed. And that's
And they weren't
essential.
alone, because we know the FBI was coming to the same conclusion that it was lab leak, as well as the FBI.
Next clip. Roll it.
What is your reaction when you look at the dais and you see that there's not a single solitary Democrat member here to listen to your testimony? How does that make you feel?
My goal in being here is threefold. I want to talk about COVID.
No, I get that, but I'm saying,
I wish they were there. I wish they were there.
You're taking personal risk. You're serving the country. You're not partisan. This is not about politics, but somehow it's become about politics because the Democrats don't even want to hear the conversation about what obviously was a grave error that this country made during COVID. And unlike previous situations, there's never been a situation, certainly not in my lifetime, where you had decisions made that affected generations of Americans, kids that were absolutely deprived of their childhood, businesses that were destroyed, families that were torn apart, memories that you'll never get back, trillions of dollars of economic loss. We should at least have a conversation that isn't partisan. And yet, just for the record, there's not a single solitary Democrat senator that's willing to sit in this chamber and listen to your testimony. I think that's an outrage and an insult to people like you.
And I agree with that. I don't care what your stance is, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You're a representative for your constituency. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, you need to be in that room so you know what's going on. If the Democrats are doing the same thing, Republicans should be in the room so you know what's going on. So they're not doing nothing shady. So they're not acting in a way that's not, I guess, consistent with good faith behavior. You need to be in the room. You don't skip out because you get your panties in a ruffle. That's not how this stuff works. That's not how it should work. All right. Let's get to our, do we get a last clip? Let's play our last clip, and then we're going to move on to Dan Bilzerian, who's an absolute nut. I don't know how anybody takes him seriously, and I'm telling you, man, Israel derangement syndrome is the new Trump derangement syndrome. I swear it is. These are two new syndromes that people are going to have to get prescribed medication for, or probably put in a loony house. because they can't function without the craziness. But let's get this clip and we'll move on to Dan Balzerian wrote a clip.
This committee, this chairman needs an apology. This is not political theater. This is serious oversight work. This is what the American people need to see. And I just wish our Democrat colleagues had any level of curiosity what's happening inside the deep state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I completely concur. And I would also like to respond to the CIA spokesman. They say that we have already obtained closed-door testimony. Well, closed-door testimony doesn't provide oversight. Public testimony provides oversight. We have asked them for public testimony and for oversight. We would love to have the scientists, the 6 or 7 scientists that were commissioned to look at this, we'd love to see their report. Why would we not be allowed to see their report? I can't even read that in private.
So I think you guys got a pretty good synopsis. This is where they're going. The whistleblowers are going. Democrats are not paying attention whatsoever, and they do not care.